be here with all of you this evening. I've been an artist all my life, and I definitely remember drawing on myself, drawing on friends. I remember the bubble letters and the geometric patterns, and I'm still doing that. So I think there's something very primal, and I remember also looking at my veins and my arms very closely, as children and young people often will do, is looking at these structures. And then as we get older, we kind of move away from paying close observation to those things, to just something like looking at your veins. And that's where drawing as an art form is very interesting practice. Um, I've been a teaching artist for about, I would say about 25 years now. And I've taught with a lot of different groups of people, with young people and with elders in rural environments and urban environments. And in 2014, I started teaching art workshops at Pelican Bay State Prison here in far northern California. And I found that certain kinds of exercises in the class were icebreakers. People would often be, nervous. A lot of people feel nervous about art. It's like, ooh, I'm going to reveal something about myself, and I'm going to, be put in a complicated or position of having to explain myself, or maybe there's judging going on, and comparisons. And so I think these exercises I will share with you tonight are processes that I've found helpful to me in keeping my focus, in not allowing myself to become distracted, which is very easy for me to get distracted. And so these drawing practices make me feel more calm. And in a group, everybody kind of calms down when we start doing these drawings. Everybody sort of relaxes into it. So I think they can be very useful and very practical in a group setting or practicing on your own. Before we start drawing tonight, I wanted to share with you some breathing exercises. And I want to acknowledge the artist that I learned them from. An artist named Damien Eccles, who was on death row for 18 years, has published some books about his art practices while he was in prison on death row. And he was released about 12 years ago. He discovered Zen Buddhism when he was in prison. He started to practice Buddhist mindfulness practices, breathing exercises, and he also began to combine them with Western esoteric practices. So he credits his ability to endure and survive living on death row for 18 years because of his studies of Buddhist practice. And when he was released, he had a kind of an art career for a while. So he was exhibiting his work around the world. And I think he continues in an art practice, but right now it's more of the martial arts. But I'm crediting Damien Eccles for a couple of exercises that I'm going to share with you tonight. So to begin, this first breathing exercise is called the four-fold lunar breath. And the way that it works, I'll just walk you through it a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, and you can practice then along with me if you feel like it. And the way that it works is I imagine that I'm in complete darkness, and my eyes might be open, my eyes might be closed, but I'm in darkness. And as I breathe in to a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, I see the moon rise out of the darkness all the way up into the nighttime sky until I can see the moon above me in the sky. And then I hold and count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then release, blow out, release the breath as the moon sinks down through the sky, the night sky, and then disappears back behind the horizon line into darkness again. So it's a fourfold breathing practice with a little bit of a visualization to it. So again, I'm going to do it, go through it one more time. Starting in complete darkness, seeing nothing but darkness everywhere. And then as I breathe in, count to 4 and hold. I see the moon has risen. It's glowing in the sky above me. And then release my breath. The moon sinks back down beneath the horizon, and I am in darkness again. So let's practice this together. And if you feel more comfortable, you can count to 3, you can count to 2, or you don't have to count at all. But the idea is to be aware of the breath coming in and the breath being released while seeing it in rhythm with the rising of the moon, the setting of the moon. So here we go. We'll just try, let's try this 3 rotations. So starting in darkness now and breathing in. And then holding at the end for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, while I remain in complete darkness. The fourfold lunar breath exercise, I like to practice this at night before I go to sleep, sometimes when I wake up first thing in the morning, and sometimes I'll just do it 2 or 3 times, and other times I'll practice it for maybe 10 minutes before I get up or before I go to sleep at night. I like the visualization of the night sky and the moon and this sensation of rotation. Another exercise that I learned about from Damien is called the fourfold solar breath. So it's the same exercise, except this time we're going to visualize the sunrise out of the darkness. So again, we start completely in the middle of the universe somewhere in complete darkness. And then as we breathe in to a count of 4, the sun has risen up into the sky and it's shining overhead. A bright golden sun has lit up the sky. And we hold for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then breathing out. And watching the sun sink down through the sky. The sun sets and the light dims and we are back in darkness again. And we hold in darkness for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's try that 2 more times. If you'll, just practice in a way that is comfortable for you. And I'm going to practice it 2 times here. And I'll kind of talk through it a little bit more and then we'll just do it silently. So here we are. We're in the darkness of the universe and breathing in. Seeing the sun rise. Hold. Shining in the sky. It's noon. It's the middle of the day. And then breathing out. 1, 2, 3, 4. The sun is setting. And then it sinks below the horizon, and we're in darkness again. 2, 3, 4. So there is also a third related exercise that I like to practice also sometimes because it can be really visual. And by the way, you can practice the fourfold breath without any visualization, just to feel the rhythm, and being aware of the breath coming and entering the body and then being released. This last exercise is the fourfold seasonal breath. And so the exercise is to imagine or to visualize the four seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter, or however you think of the seasons of the year. We're in the Northern Hemisphere, so we have certain ideas about the four seasons, but that can be experienced and interpreted differently in different parts of the world. But I usually imagine, as I am in the darkness of the universe and I begin to breathe in, I imagine that it's spring and I see all the flowers coming out, and I see this big pink tree that's outside my window, and all the petals are flying through the air. It's springtime, I can hear the birds, and it's the count of four. And when I reach the top, it's summertime. And now I have that bright summer sun. I can feel the heat on my skin, and I count to four, and then I experience the autumn, whatever the memory of it might be. I remember, autumns from when I was a child, piles of leaves, the dampness, the chilliness. And then finally, the last count of four becomes winter. It's cold, maybe there's snow, maybe it's dark, maybe it's the leaves have fallen from all the trees. And so that's another um, kind of practice that allows me in a way to access my memory, my imagination. I can improvise, and it kind of makes me feel a little more grounded on planet Earth. So thank you for practicing this with me. I'm going to ask you now if you would like to draw. We're going to do some drawing dharma tonight. And you'll just need, if you have a pencil or a pen or a couple of ballpoint pens or even some crayons and a few sheets of paper, you want to be sitting somewhere at a table where you feel pretty comfortable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this screen that is on a tripod right now, and I'm going to flip it down so that it's pointed towards my sketch paper. So why don't we take maybe 2 or 3 minutes so that you can find a space, and I will move my screen here, and I'll meet you back here in 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, I think that's gonna work. Okay. Okay, everyone. I hope you can see me here. My two hands are under the camera now, and I have a pencil here. We're going to do a drawing exercise, and it's very simple, and I think you'll enjoy it. All you have to do is make spirals, and they can be very small spirals, or you can fill an entire page. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting my pencil point down here, and I'm going to rotate it very slowly. So the key here is to keep it nice and slow. Okay. Now, every single person is a little bit different. So the way we hold the tool, the way we angle the tool, it can be different for each person. I have a tendency to rush. So the challenge for me is to slow down, and try to concentrate on these tree rings that I'm drawing and to make them consistent in terms of their thickness or their thinness. Okay, I'm going to stop there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do another spiral, and I'm going to work in the opposite direction. So the first time I went to the right, this time I'm going to go to the left. Start in one point here, and I'm going to begin to rotate. And I'm going, the slower I go, the better. So just slowly. And it's okay. It's probably going to wobble a little bit. That's all right. Sometimes when I do this, it's really wobbly. And other times, I don't know, it just seems to flow. Slowing down. Don't go too fast. Slow and easy. Oops, I'm running off the paper there. So I'm going to stop there. Now I'm going to draw two spirals, and I'm going to use two pencils, one in each hand, and I'm going to place them kind of separate from each other here, a little bit apart. And I'm going to start to spiral here. Round, round. And it kind of met in the middle. Okay, so let's do one more spiral. the pencil, whichever you want to do. You could do your dominant hand, the one that you use most frequently, or you can try drawing with the non-dominant hand. I guess, I don't know if that's a way to say it, but I hardly ever draw with my left hand. So maybe I'm going to give that a little practice. The point is not the drawing, but what I'm sensing when I'm making this movement. So here I go, drawing with my left hand instead of my right hand. Slow, going nice and slow, trying not to rush. Breathing, remembering to breathe. I'm going to stop there. Okay, so we have a bunch of spirals happening here. So it's kind of interesting to reflect upon how I negotiated that. I had my comfortable hand and then the not so comfortable hand, and the different sensations that I experienced while I was drawing. And maybe I got a little distracted at certain places where I started to wobble a little bit. And that's the thing, you know, it's almost like a seismograph here. It's sort of reflecting a little bit, maybe my breathing. Okay, we're going to try another exercise. So you might want to, you can draw right on top of here if you want, or you might want to flip your paper over here. And we are going to draw by not looking at the paper. This exercise I'm going to share with you is called blind contour line drawing. And it comes from a book called The Natural Way to Draw by Kimon Nicolaides. Now, I first encountered this exercise when I was a kid, and I used to spend a lot of time looking around in the public library, digging around for books. And I came upon this book, and I remember looking through it and trying to practice it, but just not getting it and not really understanding what was going on completely. Later on, when I was older, I was in a college art class, a beginning drawing class, and there was the exercise, blind contour line drawing. So I've been practicing this drawing exercise now for 40 years. And I think it is a very, very interesting process to go through. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to click. But what we're going to do here is we're going to draw our subject. The subject is your hand. So you have your pencil in one hand or your pen, and you're going to use your other hand as your subject. I'll show you here. If I put my hand down like this will bring back a few memories. And I trace, because tracing is drawing. When I was a kid, other kids would say, "Oh, that's cheating." No, it isn't. It's a drawing. Here's tracing and outline. So when I lift my hand off, I have an outline that when I close it off, it becomes a shape and it communicates very effectively. But this is an outline. It is not a contour line. A contour line is going to travel over the entire surface of the subject that you're drawing. So it's going to have a kind of three-dimensional quality to it. I'll demonstrate the exercise 2 or 3 times. And when you feel good about jumping in and trying it out yourself, please do. Or if you just want to watch, that's fine too. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'll start with a clean paper here, is I'm going to look at my hand, but I am not going to look at my drawing. My eyes remain on my hand the entire exercise. That's why it's called blind contour line. I am not looking at the drawing while I'm drawing it. I'm not looking at the paper. I'm trying to resist the urge to look at the paper. What I'm looking for here is the experience of exploring this form, which is my hand. And so I keep my eyes on a point on my hand, and I take my pencil and I place it on the paper, and I wait until I feel it's synchronized. So the point where my pencil is on the paper and where my eyes rest on my hand, I try to get a little bit of a sensation as if they're connected. Once that connection is there, my eyes lead the way. They start to move, and my pencil now is going to follow my eyes. As my eye traverses the surface contour of my hand, my pencil point is going to follow my eye. I try to keep the pencil slowly moving, and I try not to lift it from the paper. You know, unless I need to, if I run off the paper, it's okay to lift the pencil and start again. The idea here, or the process, is to keep it slow and to follow the movement of the eye. And I'm not looking at my drawing while I draw. I'm only looking at my hand. No judgment, no analysis, just up and over the knuckles, around the finger, into the valley, around the fingernail, along the ridge, and then back up again, just slowly, just scanning the object. And really trying to resist the urge to look at the drawing. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to kind of hold my hand next to this drawing, and now I look down at the paper and it's like, what happened there? Okay, so right now, because I'm drawing blind, I'm really just relying a lot on a kind of a tactile sense here. We're going to try it again. So you can kind of move the paper a little bit, or try a different position with the hand. Let's see. Let me try a different piece of paper here. Let's do that. And let's see, I'll go like this. Maybe like, let's see, like this. Okay, so still drawing blind contour line. I am putting my pencil point on the paper, and I wait until I feel the connection to my eye resting on my hand, anywhere on the hand. And I keep my eyes on my hand. I don't want to look at the paper. I am going to begin moving my eye. And as my eye moves over the surface contour of my hand, my pencil point is going to follow in a continuous line. And I just don't look at the paper. Just be free. Just look closely at your hand. You can see the little wrinkles around the knuckles. So you're traveling over those. You can see the ridge of the fingernail. Little bumps here, and then where the fingers kind of stretch out, and then coming over the top. And the slower you go, really, the better. Really noticing the little ridges and bumps and just traveling over this landscape here. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Okay, there's another study. Now, this drawing could go on for 15 minutes. There's really no beginning or end. I'm going to try it again. I'll move a different piece of paper here, turn the paper over, and I'm going to draw blind again. Okay, looking at the hand, picking a point here, and I'm going to begin, place the point of the pencil down, and follow the movement of the eye. And don't look at the paper. Okay, I'm going to stop there. You can kind of see what's happening here is it's as if I am scanning the surface. It's like a scan, a record of where my eye traveled over the surface of my hand. And it's done not from memory. This is not done from a source photo. It's not tracing. It's really one of the very few times that we make a drawing, that I've made a drawing, that is very directly a response to what I am receiving through my perception, what I'm perceiving, very close observation of something, in this case, my hand. And a lot of art students in my classes will say, and I've heard this over the years, oh, the hands, how do you draw hands? They're so difficult. And they're so complicated in their movement. So they're one of the most difficult things to draw. But this is a really great exercise to take a closer look, even if you just spend a minute or two doing it. The next exercise that we're going to do here is we're going to get to peek now. So I'm going to draw my hand using the blind contour method, but now I'm going to check my drawing. I'm going to take a peek and try to make things maybe line up a little bit, and see what happens. And let's see, I'll get a different piece of paper here. And I'm mostly going to keep my eyes on my hand, but I will check back. I will check the paper periodically. So here we go. Let's see, let's start here. And I'm going to rest my pencil point, and I'm going to start like I usually do. Let the eye move first, but I'm going to take my eyes off of my hand. And when I do that, I'm memorizing. So when I look down at my paper, at my drawing now, I'm looking at my drawing. Now I'm drawing from memory, right? I took a little mental picture and I'm drawing from memory. Okay, so I seem to remember it came up like this. But it's always better in this exercise to keep the eyes on the object itself as much as possible. So I look back at my hand and I'm going to continue my contour line journey here. Let's see. But I am going to peek now. Every now and then, take a little peek at what's happening. So now I'm sort of looking back and forth between my hand and the paper. So one of the challenges often for students of drawing is the conflict between what we know, because we know a lot, and what we see. They can really be two different things here. And so primarily this kind of an exercise is really letting us rely on what we're seeing and not what we know. It's not about what we know here. We're explorers of this landscape of the hand. And it's not a race. You can take your time. You could draw for an hour or draw for a minute. It's just really taking the time to look at things. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So blind contour line drawing to contour line drawing. And, if I want to impress my friends, I can go in here and I can do a little shading and all that kind of thing. But really, this is the purpose of the exercise here is to slow down and look at something closely and appreciate the complexity and beauty of what I'm looking at. Here's another kind of cool thing is to just try drawing other things. Here's a nice shell that I found on the beach here, and that's going to be a really fun thing, interesting thing to study, to slow down and take a look at it, and to try to draw it using the blind contour method. So again, I'm just going to do a quick little, just a little study here. Blind, I'm going to look at the shell and I'm traveling over the surface. And I notice how it has all these little ridges. And I'm trying not to look at my paper. So I'm back to that kind of blind contour line drawing. And just kind of, now that I look at it, I can see all these little ridges where the animal was growing the shell, all the different, it's like I can see a relationship to the spiral here. There's a growth pattern here. So it's almost like I'm drawing on the object itself. It's like they're like veins, right? I'm sort of tracing the veins here. I'm kind of tracing them and kind of, oh, there's a little bump there. There's a little bump there. And then I feel it goes up, there's a little bump there, right? Kind of out like that. There's a little ridge. So I kind of feel like I'm really touching the object like that. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. I could keep going. This drawing, I could keep traveling over the surface of the shell. I could practice this. What if I decide to draw this pen? Okay, so I'm going to put this pen here. Let's see, here. And then I'm going to practice blind contour line drawing of this object. So I'm just going to look at the object and not my paper and just travel over the surface of the pen. I can feel the edge of it here. And then there's a little bump. And then it's kind of smooth. It feels like it goes down like that. And then there's this little, the point of the pen. And then it comes back and I can cross over where that bump is, where that ridge is. Back. And then there's something here that's the handle here. And I'm keeping my eyes on the object. Trying not to look at the drawing. The drawing doesn't matter. And then this kind of feels like it has a curve to it. And I'm going to come down like that, a little clip and back. Okay, so there's an example of blind contour line drawing of a more mechanical object, like a pen. Okay, so I'm going to stop here with our Dharma drawing this evening because I know other folks might want to share. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to flip my screen back up so that anyone who wants to share tonight has an opportunity. Thank you.